Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 19th, 2019 School Committee meeting located here at Tyngsborough High School. I officially call this meeting to order. I will remind everyone that these meetings are audio and video recorded. At this time, we'll start with introductions.
Sharon Fairbanks.
Robert Mullen.
Good evening, Julie Westucci.
Good evening, Mike Moran.
Good evening, Mark Franco, Assistant Superintendent.
Hi, Mike Flanagan, Superintendent.
Anthony Tenorella.
Ryan McMahon.
Paul Mitchell.
Amy Pazurski.
Joe Messina, School Business Administrator.
Sophia Campbell, Student Representative.
All right, thank you. If I could ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I'll seek a motion to approve the March 5th school committee and executive session minutes, both of 2019.
Make a motion to approve the March 5th school committee minutes and executive session minutes, and we will not release the executive session minutes.
Second. Any conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 6-0-0. That's 7-0-0. Sorry. Ooh, 7-0-0. Correspondence.
Mr. Chair, we have 3 items of correspondence tonight. In your drive tonight, you'll find an update on my goals. I will bring to the next meeting, I'll bring or I'll share a summer evaluation document with everyone. We revamped the document, so it's not the horrific document that can't be formatted like you've seen in the past. But in the correspondence component right now, I provide an update on my goals for you, as well as some survey results that was run by the new superintendent induction program, of which I'm a part of. Those results show a self-assessment on my part on 4 different performance indicators, as well as feedback from the administrators in the district. So I thought that would be helpful in helping you with your evaluations. And the final piece in there, and we don't need to take action on it tonight, but there is some information about how we could potentially shuffle our meeting schedule over the next couple of months to accommodate town election, annual town meeting, as well as budget presentations, as well as the tri-board meeting that we have coming up. So there's a proposed meeting schedule to look at and review that we will hopefully take action on April 2nd.
All right, very good, thank you. Visitors' comments and questions? Seeing none. Share the success.
Thank you. Congratulations to the March Students of the Month, Howard Bangura, Chris Osceola, Andrew Parker, and Jessica DeBruin. Last week, Winter Sports Awards were held to recognize the athletic achievement and dedication of our winter athletes. Notable performances this winter included the hockey team making it to the semifinals in the tournament, the girls and boys basketball teams both winning the league, Chloe Brush taking home a 3rd and 2nd place finish at the Alpine Ski Championship, and senior Evan Rankin getting his 100th career win in wrestling. This weekend, the THS Theater program performed their show When She Had Wings at a theater festival. Students Allie Reed and Evan Dowling both won All-Star Acting Awards, and Alana Breen won an All-Star Award for Sound Design. Next week, student Brett Kavanaugh will be representing TMS at the National Geography Bee. Congratulations, Brett. And good luck to all spring athletes at tryouts this week and in their upcoming seasons.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take item 9 out of order.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 7-0-0. Dr. Flanagan, I'll turn it
So, Mr. Chair, and the committee, we have Doc Rav here tonight with a group of a special group of students here at Tyngsborough High School, the Bio Builder Club. And as a poli-sci major, you guys come up to the table now. As a poli-sci major, I don't pretend to have any idea what they're going to talk about. I walk by the room, I have no idea what's going on in there. But they're hard at work, and they do some really, really progressive, forward-thinking stuff. So I think it's a great club that we have here. Doc Rev, you started this club a few years ago on your own kind of, just on a whim. You were looking to get it going, and it's been a tremendous addition here to the school. So welcome to the Bio Builder Club.
Thank you.
We're members of.
Is this on? Is this all
Yes.
set? Okay, great. So good evening. Thank you so much for inviting us to speak to you about the Tyngsborough High School BioBuilder Club. Joining me this evening are some of the representative team members who, after my very brief introductory remarks, would be delighted to share with you the progress that they've been making on their current project and to answer any questions that you might have. As mentioned, my name is Rebecca Ravgala, and I currently teach biology and AP biology at the high school. I've been affiliated with BioBuilder as an organization since its inception in 2011. I had the good fortune of participating in the inaugural BioBuilder summer workshop for teachers at MIT during that 2011 summer, and was introduced to the emerging field of synthetic biology. After the initial summer experience, I knew that this was content that I had to get into the hands of my students. Since 2011, I have led several teams and introduced countless students to the field of synthetic biology in both the formal classroom setting as well as extracurricularly. As an after-school activity, the BioBuilder Club challenges interested students to design, build, and test novel genetic circuits by employing the principles of engineering coupled with the tools of biology. And last week, our BioBuilders had a chance to travel to Lab Central down in Cambridge, Massachusetts to present their cumulative work to other like-minded teams and industry experts, where they received constructive feedback about their project design and advice moving forward. At this time, I would like to just thank a few people who have been sort of instrumental in getting this team moving forward. We would like to formally recognize Dr. Natalie Kuldell, the founder and executive director of this wonderful global nonprofit organization. Also, Michael Sheets. Some of you might recognize his name. He's not only a THS alumnus, but he is also a past member of the BioBuilder Club. He's currently a graduate student at BU studying bioengineering, and we had the good fortune of having him as our BioBuilder Club mentor. So he has become a really important member of the BioBuilder community as well. And would also like to extend a really nice thank you and formally recognize Mr. Andrew Murphy from Oxford Genetics for expediting the generous donation of a piece of DNA that we are going to be using in the assembly of our final system. And of course, we would also like to thank the administrators at Tyngsborough High School for their continued support. I'd like to pass the mic over to my team members here so that they can share with you what our current project is.
Hello everyone, my name is Anya. So currently the project we're working on right now is called Alive Light, and our ultimate goal is to create a natural luminescence system by programming, it's called Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it's yeast. But before we actually went through with our concept, we conducted a consumer analysis report just to make sure that people would actually have an interest in our product and make sure that there was a place in our marketplace. So right now we're just kind of in the early stages. We just got our DNA, which was really helpful. So we'll move on to the next stages of constructing and hopefully getting a product.
Over February vacation, we had a chance to meet up with our mentor, Michael Sheets, and visit the Learning Lab in Cambridge. It was there that we were taught how to use Benchling, a research platform where scientists can design, share, and record experiments all on one interface. Here is the plasmid we designed from Oxford Genetics, and we obtained the plasmid backbone that contains an autotrophic marker to help us select yeast colonies after transformation, as well as the sequence for luciferase, the enzyme that leads to light production in fireflies. Our final plasmid also contains a copper-inducible promoter for regulating gene expression.
So if you look under the hood, you can see a model of how we envision our product to behave. In the presence of copper, we have a copper-inducible promoter that will induce the production of luciferase. Luciferase, in the presence of ATP and oxygen, will react with D-luciferin to create oxyluciferin and photons of light, which will produce the glowing effect that our system wishes to achieve.
During our visit to Lab Central, over February vacation, we also had a chance to practice our transformation skills by reprogramming yeast of several color variants to express tryptophan production. As you can see, our results are consistent with what we predicted. That is, when DNA that encodes a phenotype that is not naturally expressed is successfully introduced to a cell, it has the capacity to change the behavior of the cell.
Though we have not yet built our system, we do have plans moving forward, which include amplifying all the DNA parts, assembling those parts into a final plasmid, and transforming the plasmid into yeast. If we can accomplish this by the end of the year, we'll be that much closer to realizing our goal of engineering a natural light generating machine. Thank you.
Nice job. So far over my head. I'm curious if I can ask a question. What type of feedback did you receive when you went to Lab Central recently? And was it helpful, or I want to hear about the feedback.
Final assembly, what kind of questions were you asked?
We were asked about the copper inducible promoter a lot.
What about it? Yeah, that was good.
So some people had some doubts as to if copper would be the best thing to induce production because copper can be poisonous to humans among other species. So there is opportunity to look at that and determine if we want to use a different promoter or if we want to continue on using our copper inducible promoter.
And how did they feel about the whole final product?
A lot of people thought it was like a really cool idea to be able to create light without using like a candle or electricity. But they also wondered how bright it would glow. And that's something we couldn't really answer because we haven't actually made it yet and tested it. So we kind of really need to work towards evaluating the luminance and determining how bright we can make it.
I think so. At this point, we have plans to return to Lab Central, and so BioBuilder has a learning lab space there, just dedicated to BioBuilder teams and and other sort of individuals who are interested in playing around with science. So we hope to be able to get there a couple of more times to, as KJ pointed out, to amplify our DNA and then to transform the yeast to see if we can actually test how brightly the yeast will express this luciferase. Yeah.
And so talk about your time commitment involved here.
Oh, well, that's, so for me, I'm happy to do it because I really am passionate about BioBuilder. I'm passionate about synthetic biology. I think it's a great opportunity. It's not just an emerging field anymore. It's something that people are doing right now. There are startup companies, and that's why the Lab Central space is so important to be at, because these are all startup science companies. They are only allowed to be there for 60 days and then they get booted out. So if you can't make it within 60 days, then you need to go find another space. So the kids are there doing science with real scientists. So that just being there is wonderful. And so for me, the time is not an issue at all. But there are many hours, many hours, late nights. Yes, but you guys can talk about what we do during the week.
So we typically meet every Friday after school for about an hour and a half. And then the week that we actually had finals, we stayed after all of our finals every day and we finished up putting together a project, going over final things just before the final assembly so we could be well prepared and everything was all set. So that was like multiple hours.
Do you want to tell them that's the final?
Oh yeah, this was the final poster that we actually presented. I did a quick lightning talk describing the whole kind of thing. So
I posted that on the website too.
How big is the final product expected to be?
Size-wise, Kate?
Like the main idea, so we developed part of like an e-commerce section on our website, which you can find, and like the main product will be just like desktop lamp, like just like any other lamp, mostly like a globe shape though. That's what we envision. Yeah, you can see there. We also made like a string light version, so that's the idea.
Yeah, don't buy these yet. But you could invest.
Where did you guys get this idea from? Like, what inspired you to make?
It was pretty much Miss Rav's idea because she, like, her initial plan was, like, to do glowing frosting. And there was definitely a lot of limitations to making an edible product. And eventually we found our way to making a light.
How do you turn it off and on? How do you control it?
Our main idea was to more just kind of like cover it, so you just like
Use a shutter?
yeah.
It's always glowing,
That's
but
good.
because it's being grown, did somebody want to talk about that? Yeah, with
So we also have, if you look at the globe, the yellow, the upper left, you guys can see, we have another that one. We have another organism named Chlamydomonas reinhardti, and what that does is it works in a symbiotic relationship with the yeast we have, which is modified Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So by affecting that relationship, you can turn the yeast off, so to say, by removing the copper from the system. So if you stop inputting copper, effectively light will stop being produced because no more luciferase, which is the enzyme responsible for creating that light, that won't be produced anymore.
And the oxygen that's produced by Chlamydomonas, which is photosynthetic, will also be, we'll be able to control that. So if there's no oxygen, then the yeast can't undergo respiration, which means that they can't participate in the production of luciferase.
So do you have to vent it?
Do I have to what?
You have to vent it to remove the oxygen?
Yeah, so that was something else that they were thinking of. They're like, well, is this going to be explosive, right? Because we're containing a lot of gas. Like, what are our ideas about that? And I think was it you or Jackson? Somebody came up with the idea of a little tube, right?
Yeah. So originally our idea was a lot of this is bioengineering, but if we link bioengineering with mechanical engineering, we can create effectively a ventilation system that when it detects the pressure inside that globe to be too large, the vents will open up and allow that pressure to be alleviated. And then they can close back up to prevent anything from leaking out you don't want to leak out.
Does it need to be a closed system, away from the environment to keep the thing going?
Not to keep the process going, but you probably want to enclose it because it is a modified organism, and so we're doing a lot of work now with thinking about kill switches. So if it does happen to break and splatter everywhere, and your kitty cat, happens to eat it, how we're going to turn it off so that we're not impacting other organisms. Yeah, but that's a good question.
Are you nervous about the yeast malfunctioning? I guess.
I'm not nervous at all. Well, what do you think about that? We haven't really thought. I don't think we've really thought about
Right.
that.
It's just part of the risk.
That's true, and there are plasmids, so it might be that over time the yeast will lose the plasmid because we haven't engineered it to be incorporated directly into their genomic DNA. So that is a possibility that it might lose its efficiency, but that would be good marketing, right? Because then you have to buy more of the master mix and the cells, right?
So is the yeast consumable? What part of it's consumable? Any of it?
Yeah.
You gave up on the other.
Yeah, we gave up on that.
Yeah. Not edible.
Probably a good idea talking about
But
it.
he means
What I mean is,
yeah.
what part of it gets used up in the reaction when you're producing the light? So you're gonna run out of any component you need to.
Yeah, how long will the light last?
Will it be like a battery that you can buy?
Rechargeable, yeah. So we charge it with the master mix. So if we run out of copper, they can add in more copper. So those are things that we are way far away from.
Yeah, not there yet.
Thinking about.
Really?
So why don't we have you back in 2 weeks and give us an update?
Buy it.
So if this isn't completed by June, it will carry over to next year. And is the Bio Builders Club open to all 4 grades in the high school? Do we have any seniors here this evening?
Freshmen, sophomore, juniors. Yeah.
Nice. we have any other questions other than from a bio engineer?
More bio.
He's a real engineer, he's a chemical. I think it's a great project. I'm glad that you guys have had the opportunity, and that's one of the things that I really like about Tyngsborough Schools, is that we've got great people like Dr. Ravgalia here to provide the opportunities to kids like you to see what the new and great developing technologies are. And it's a great start to, seed your interest. So thank you, Dr. Ravgalia.
Yes, and thank you all for coming out this evening. It's
Great job.
very interesting on the board.
I'm just gonna be a mom right now. I need to take a picture.
I have one. I took one. I'll send it to you.
You did?
Yeah.
No,
You're in it. You're in it. That's why.
Fantastic
All right,
job.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Great job.
Thank you.
Mr. Ogden, you're not staying for the rest of our meeting, sir?
Use of Bruins wrong.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
again.
Thank you.
Back to our regular scheduled program. Subcommittee update. I will handle this one. We did have a subcommittee meeting this evening. Mike, Julia, and I met with Dr. Flanagan, discussed where he is on his goals to this point. You all get a monthly update in your drive, so which is going to be very, very helpful. They're also coming out with a new evaluation deal, which will be nice. It's not going to be that old document that nobody can get into or print. So it'll be a Google Docs drive that we can all share, which will be a lot more helpful. So, and we will meet again here shortly. So, thank you for that. Personnel.
Two action items. No notice of resignation. Jason Finch, after 25 years, is retiring from leaving us from the maintenance department here at Tyngsborough High School. And we have a new appointment. Taylor Shelton is going to be a long-term sub paraprofessional at TES. So just like to publicly and formally thank Jason Finch. He's been here for a long time, done a lot of good work at Tyngsborough High School, and he came across a career opportunity somewhere else. So wish him the best of luck. So thank you, Jason, for all you've done.
All right, we already did new business. Or, I'm sorry, unfinished business.
Mr. Chair, in your drive tonight, if we can, Mark, bring that up. As you know, we started our budget process months ago, and we began at a $1.2 million number. And sometime in January, the school committee landed at an $813,000 budget request. Recent conversations with the town administrator, he's really asking that we bring that down to about a 2.5% increase. Which would be about $505,000 to $510,000. So we have potentially a $300,000 difference from our ask to what the town can potentially afford. So this is not a new process. This is just something that Mr. Messina and I have talked about, different things that we can potentially look at reducing for next year. And I'm bringing this up as a point of discussion tonight. Happy to answer any questions or happy to do more work on this. But it's my recommendation that we come back on April 2nd and really trim that $800,000 number down to something that's probably more palatable for the community. Again, if the committee, we put these numbers up as a starting point for conversation. If the committee wants to see something or have us go in a different direction, well, we're certainly more than happy to do that. But if I could just walk you through the bullets, and Joe, feel free to jump in at any point. I think that might be the most logical way to tackle this. So the first item we have is, as you know, we started the Special Education Stabilization Fund with the town. Currently, it has about $90,000 in it. Mr. Messina received a check from Valley Collaborative, the credit, the other day for $36,000 more. So there's going to be about $119,000 in that stabilization fund. So if we were to assume that the selectmen would support using almost all of it, $115,000, and the reason we say that is because as we go back to our January conversations, we know that this year was an anomaly. This year we had an increase of over $800,000 in out-of-district special education tuitions. That's never happened. So that's exactly why this stabilization fund was built and established. So if we were to use $115,000 of that stabilization money, That would bring us down to just under $700,000. Joe looked at increasing potentially our school choice revenues by about $20,000. Now we're at $678,000. If we, in conversations with Dr. Branca, we believe that we've done some things with technology, and we can potentially trim our teaching and learning budget by about $25,000 as a one-time year. We're going to need to put that money back in the following year, but we could potentially come down off of that budget by about $25,000. We looked at, and this one makes me nervous, but we looked at reducing our legal fees by 12.5. You're one incident away from needing all of that money, but given the fact that we don't have negotiations next year, we thought we could come down by 12.5 there. We have, because of some of the placements of some of our students, we do not have a need for one van in our special education transportation line item, so that could be a reduction of $38,850. Mr. Pollitt was in a plan where he was replacing some of the furniture at Tyngsborough Middle School. Given the fact that MSBA has accepted us in, we'll deal with the furniture we have for another couple of years until we can outfit the whole school when we get a new school. I'm being optimistic. We looked at position-wise, if we were to reduce an admin assistant at TMS, who also serves part-time at TES, that would bring about $25,000 off the number. And we believe, given the work being done by the administration at the elementary school, we're really starting to streamline some of our paraprofessional services, that we can reduce by at least one paraprofessional at TES. So that brings us to a number of $539,000. Again, that's not 2.5%. That's slightly higher than 2.5%. That's actually 2.67%. But for where we are now, it's a jumping off point. It begins the conversation, and we're happy to hear from the committee as to where you'd like us to go, where you'd like us to look, or don't touch that and go in this direction. So this is really kind of a conversation starter for the committee at this point.
How much money is actually in the teaching and learning cycle district-wide?
So the district curriculum review cycle is right around $100,000. And so, as you know, as we've done the science adoption, the math adoption, we've kind of treated it like a family purchasing a car. So we've done a 2-year purchase plan for a 6-year program, and then in math we did a 3-year payout. So the way we're managing it right now is the science payment will fall off the books. We'll still have year 2 and 3 in math. We're in the middle of the social studies and history review right now. We are looking at open source or pilot programs for year 1 of that, so that team K-12 has more time to really dive into resources before we spend any money at all. So I believe that this is the 1 year we can trim that line, simply because the science is falling out and we don't have any big financial asks in those departments. However, knowing that we could be looking at spending money in history, social science the following year, and that computer science review is up, and that could be software, hardware, and materials. So it will not slow us down in any means at all in the first year that we do that.
So all this teaching and learning cycle money is going toward.
It goes to our 5-year curriculum review cycle. So what I've been trying to do in my time here is put us on a 5-year review cycle that over a 5-year period of time it will hit all content areas district-wide, and so that every 5 years we're on our cycle to review, realign with the state frameworks, check our resources and our materials. And I just want to make sure that it's rare, unfortunately, in public education that school districts can maintain that consistency based on volatility of budgets. Locally and at the state level. So I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to set that up, and I want to make sure we can maintain that.
How many FTEs did we cut last year? You remember?
I do. So our actual head count in 18, can I just give you some numbers this way? Our actual head count in FY18 was 263.6 positions. Our FY19 actual was 249.6. Oh, I'm sorry, 248.6. And now what we're proposing with these cuts, based on on top of the cuts you already made in January, we'd be looking at 242.6. So 263.6 to 242.6 in 2 years.
Do we get any information like this from the town as far as their FTE numbers?
I don't have those. I don't.
Do they provide them?
I don't know.
Have you ever seen that, Joe?
I've never. excuse me, I've never seen them on their budget. Their budget sheets are usually just dollars. I've never seen what their FTEs have looked like over these years.
That's
So,
21 full-time, I'm sorry, but that's 21 full-time equivalents in 2 years.
That's a lot.
And some would argue that 6 of them were.
6 of them,
were-
right,
Were the daycare.
daycare,
Okay.
and that was self-funded, so.
Yeah,
Still
so
15.
it's 15 full-time equivalents.
And I think I recall if, this past week, was it, or last week, the selectmen had, the town administrator had, budget departments come in and ask for head counts, and a couple of them are wanting to go full-time, from half-time to full-time, or part-time to full-time, so not sure what the count is there, but I know there's a want or a need for a couple of them to, go full-time.
So
It's obviously increasing budget.
another direction, it's a 2.6% increase, is that where we're at now? Of that.
If to get to 539, yes.
Right, so of that increase, how much of that is mandated special education costs?
More than that, 800,000.
Well, that's my point, is we're really not increasing the budget in the, to the overall system.
We're managing a budget to get to a number.
Yes.
Right, and the mandated special education costs are more than the 2.6%.
Then the overall absolute increase, yes. Yes.
Just our rollover in salaries with the union contracts and the special education is over $1 million.
So with this budget at 2.6%, we're covering our mandated costs.
Correct.
And we're providing full-day kindergarten.
Correct.
So, I mean, and essentially, the money that's being used in the system is less because of the
Yes.
special education
Yes.
costs. I think it's
And,
really
you know,
difficult to understand, but.
Yeah, it is, and and also we're getting $115,000 out of stabilization account on the town side as well.
I think it's important for the community to understand that this increase is mainly going to mandated special education costs.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that if we can
Absolutely.
clarify that number, it might be an easier, better understanding of what is happening in the school committee budget.
Right, so this number, 539,650, is $270,000 less than our out-of-district tuition increase.
One line item.
Yeah. But I know that.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to say it a different way. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So if we can, I mean.
So that's the other, we can live at 2.67%.
I'm a taxpayer, I don't wanna increase the taxes, but these are what the purpose and what the school system is about. And these are the costs that we have to take care of and provide the regular education that we've always provided.
And we don't want to be taking away from each of the per person costs, you know, that typically we put toward each child. And, you know, in a sense, we probably are, you know.
Yeah.
Aggregated out.
Yeah, you probably are taking away from that. But then we also have the capital budget, and we're getting some things through the capital budget, right? Some,
Hopefully.
yeah.
Still working on
And I wanted to bring up one thing from about the capital budget, which is I know last year we had talked about doing the track, and we ended up doing the football field and not the track. And I know you were, I think, trying to fight for the track, but so far it hasn't happened. But I just wanted to bring that back up because I think it's an important thing for us to, if at all possible, look at, because I know last year people really wanted that first, and there's such a need for it. It's in such a bad shape. So just to bring it out there, and you know it's hard to think about it, and
Sure.
because I think there's a real need for that, and
If I could just increase in the school choice, we just voted on that at our last meeting, correct, the numbers?
Yes.
What would we increase that to?
So we have several slots at the high school, and actually, we've actually received several applications already. So we're hoping that that revenue line item will increase. We've a particularly small 8th grade class that'll be coming over. So I know that Mr. Ogden had allotted 7 seats in the freshman class. So, you know, we're aging 6 out. 6 kids are aging out of school choice, and we have multiple seats available at the high school.
And ideally, you want to, you know, you would like to preserve as much of your FY20 revenues as possible, because we use that as an FY21 revenue source. So the more we dig into the FY20 receipts, the less room we have for some of the things that, I mean, these tuitions don't appear on our doorstep on July 1 of next year. These tuitions are in our budget. We're dealing with those through some of our revenues that we receive from this year that we hope to save for next year's budget. So the more we dig into FY20, you know, the less revenue we'll have for FY21 if we try to maintain our model. Again, as the superintendent mentioned, we are hoping this is an anomaly in terms of the tuitions. In my 18 plus years here, it is. We're hoping that we've peaked, and that now hopefully as some of those tuitions age out past age 22, we'll get back down into a number that we're used to seeing.
Any other comments or questions in regards to our budget process?
So in terms of moving forward, it seems like, and I don't mean to put words in anyone's mouth, it seems like the committee's fine with the 2.67%, not really scratching to get down to 2.5%.
I'm not okay with all these cuts.
So you want to go up on from the 2.67?
Yeah.
What would you like to see?
I want to read more into it and understand something better, but looking at it right now, and I want to see what the town is doing on their side too. I feel every year you, Joe, do an amazing job trying to run the school with, you know, every last penny. I just want to make sure we have the same commitment from the town.
Mm-hmm. So we have a tri-board meeting on April 8th. And then, you know, we will need to have, you know, a final budget presentation on April 22nd. So we can, so I guess, so that's the question. What budget do you want us to present on April 8th?
I think we need to do a little bit more soul searching and understanding. I'd like to get it really sort of understand what that special ed increase is.
Okay.
And as compared to our, you know, what the budget is, because if, you know, like Ryan's saying, is that our actual budget is going down, but we have these other costs that we are mandated to pay first.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to make sure that everybody understands
Right.
what those are. And that increase is really not an increase.
Right.
But I want to get those actual numbers.
Okay. So why don't we come to the April 2nd meeting with more information? If any committee member has a specific question, if you could email Joe and I, we'll get those numbers and we'll bring that information to that meeting. And then maybe on April 2nd, we can get a better sense of where we want to go for April 8th. But this is good. This was our intent tonight, was to throw some ideas out there and say, where are you and where we want to go. So happy to do a little bit more work and bring back some more solid numbers and really talk about how we're going to frame it. Because you're right. If you just put a number out there, people don't understand that there's another number that really, that $800,000 that's out there that's really driving where we are. And the FTE certainly is impacted as well.
And that's an increase of $800,000.
That's my point. It's on an $18 million budget. That's, you know, 2% increase is what?
Mr. Messina?
So
It's $360,000.
So again, not to try to compartmentalize any of our students, because, I mean, these are our kids, kids with more needs than, you know, the district can necessarily service. But if you read, you're going to be reading the out-of-district head count as part of the enrollment numbers. Historically, that's been around 14 or 15. So you can see what the number is tonight. It's, I believe it's either 24 or 25. It's 25. So 25 out-of-district placements with various needs. Some as much as 365-day needs. So there were none of those in the FY19 budget. So again, to take care of our kids and get them what they need,
Right.
that line item is going up by some $800,000. So we'll have all the budget, exact budget numbers. And again, without, without going into each individual student's needs or anything like that, we can talk about the number in full.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back with more work on the 2nd.
Excellent. Number 10, finance. We'll go right back to you, Mr. Messina.
Why not? So there were 9 bill warrants presented to the committee tonight. I have all of them back signed. In your drive is a list of warrant numbers, accounts, and amounts. For payroll, we will catch up at our next meeting for the 2 payrolls in between. Also in your drive tonight are the 3 reports that make up the February financial packet. That is your budget as of the end of February, the student accounts at the end of February, as well as the revolving account balances at the end of February. And I will save March 1st enrollment for the school committee chair.
Excellent. Our elementary school, 811. Middle school, 367. The high school, 481. Our audit district is 25. And our total number of students is 1,684. And we will go to the school discussion, committee discussion. Senator Ms. Fairbanks.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Oh, I have something. But it's all good. It's all good. I was very inspired 2 weeks ago when Principal Pollitt came and talked to us about his approach to figuring out the stripes for their school. I really liked his approach because I felt it was innovative. I felt he came up with a couple stripes that were very different. And he came up with it through getting everybody involved. And it was a very innovative approach. And I think those kind of approaches work well because now people are invested into that approach because they're part of that approach. And so I've been thinking about that, and I'm like, how can we relate that to our school? And what is our school district all about? Our school, and why are we here? It's all because of teaching and learning, right? Teaching and learning. That's what we're doing. That's what our business is, right? So how can we bring his approach and help our teaching and learning and make sure all kids are being, you're looking at my notes. Doing my glasses. So how can all kids be reached through this teaching and learning? And so how I look at it is all teachers in our district and throughout the world fall on a spectrum. Okay? So you have a spectrum of teachers' abilities. At one end of the spectrum, I'm going to put my right hand, this end of the spectrum, because this is the right end, is you have teachers that connect with students. You have teachers that know their subject matter well. That you have teachers that are able to use innovative approaches. So kids are excited to go to their classroom. And I think this Dr. Rav is a very good example of that. That's one end of the spectrum. And, I have to say Tyngsborough has some of that end of the spectrum. But then on the other end of the spectrum, which I'm definitely not talking about Tyngsborough, is you have teachers that don't connect with any students. The teachers that are not innovative, and the kids dread going to their classroom. The teachers that don't know their subject matter very well. So what are we talking about for Tyngsborough? Where do our teachers fall? Well, they fall in the spectrum somewhere. Do we know where they fall? How do we figure out where they fall in that spectrum? And that's where we go back to Dr. Pollitt's innovative approach. How do we figure out where they fall? I did school assessment for over 10 years. And I'll have to tell you, when I went into the classroom, did I really think I was seeing a true look of how teachers are in a classroom. Did I really believe that? Well, I really believe that I saw probably their very best day, because I'd hear comments from the kids. Why are we doing this? We don't usually do with this. Where did all this material came from? It wasn't here yesterday. So there was many reasons why I knew that probably wasn't the way it was every day. So if we're just looking at, say administrators going in to do observations, is that the best way to figure out where teachers fall on that spectrum? Or are there innovative ways that we can think of? And in our group today, we were talking a little bit about it, and Mike came up with, maybe self-evaluations or student evaluations, peer evaluations. Maybe the teachers have to evaluate themselves. Maybe we just Google it and see what other school districts have done to evaluate where the teachers are. Because unless we know where those teachers fall on that spectrum, how do we get them to the next level? How do we know what they need to get to the next level? Do they need it because they just don't know the content? Do they need something because, they just don't know innovative approaches? What do they really need? Because our goal is we want everybody on that right hand. Wouldn't it be great? Think of that. A school district that has, 200 and how many? 43 Miss Ravs. It would be awesome. So I guess a challenge I give to the Tyngsborough administrative, to the students, to the teachers, is to come together and try to figure out how can we assess where our teachers are, how can we give them the tools to move everybody toward that right-hand side, or at least closer to that right-hand side, because that's really what we're all about, and that's really what we want for Tyngsborough. We want teachers that are intentional teachers, that think about what they're doing and are trying to reach all students across the district. So that's it. Not too bad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I heard all of that.
Yeah.
So,
go for it.
but no, I'm really just going to comment on the students that were here for the Bio Builders Club. That was a fantastic presentation. Very articulated students. They were able to really come across more intelligent than myself, which is not that difficult to do. But I will say I was texting my daughter, who's actually at college. I think she declared her neuroscience major, biochemistry, stuff like that. So, and Doc Rav had a big impact on that. So, the work that's done here at the elementary school, middle school, and the high school with this type of opportunity for these students is fantastic. So, she's a very inspiring teacher and very, I'm not going to say the word intense in a negative way, but just intentional. I'm going to steal that word from you. She's a very aware and focused teacher, and so this is a testament to the program for being a leader in that. I think we're very fortunate as a district to have someone as with that caliber of a teacher. So great job, and that's all I want to comment. Thank you.
Good.
I guess I'll just add what Mr. Moran said. Miss Rav is freshman year, having her, it can be a lot to handle, but coming out of freshman year, after having Miss
Glad you're a
Rav,
senior, huh?
I don't know, she's inspiring for a lot of kids, and she teaches not only science, also time management and other skills that I think are important to have for the rest of high school. And I have never participated in Bio Builders, but what they're doing I think is really interesting, that they're actually applying what they learn in biology class or AP Bio, because some of those things I've learned, but I've never actually seen it in action, and to see them actually doing that's something that'll be really important if anyone goes on to college. So I'm glad that there's that opportunity for students here.
And to see the juniors that were as part of that group that I've seen as crazy little kindergartners they grew up with Miss Fairbanks too, I'm sure I've seen a lot of these kids over time, and the way they articulated tonight, it was really impressive.
All set, thanks.
I just was impressed with Dr. Rav. I think it's a testament to the administration and what we've been doing in the school district to be able to have programs like that. We have STEM programs. We have opportunities for these kids to perform. The theater program it's the same type of thing for someone who wants to be that type of individual. And providing those opportunities is what the school system is about, and giving them the, in the high school anyways, making sure that they have an understanding, I bet you all of these kids that were here, really have a keen interest in the biology stuff. And there's other people that don't, but there's other programs in this system for those kids. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everybody else. I was very impressed with Dr. Adler. The word I would use, Mike, is passion. She has a clear passion for what she does. It comes through with every word she says. The kids clearly have that same passion. I could have talked to him for an hour. Luckily, Tony stopped me. But it's just really inspiring to see kids that young really get involved with science and engineering, and realizing that not every topic exists in a vacuum. When you get into the real world, you have to blend bio and engineering and mechanical, and they all come together. You all have to work together to make a final product. And they're starting to see that at such a young age, which is great.
Well, our last meeting, I skipped Dr. Flanagan altogether. So we're going to give him an opportunity to speak this evening.
Just briefly, a couple things. To touch on what Julie said, I think you're talking about that growth mindset, and if you go back to the old Collins book, how do we move from being good to great, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring people along, and one of the things that we're talking about, Mark and I've had this preliminary discussion, is we need to shift our thinking from forward planning to future planning. Forward planning is kicking the can down the road. What are we doing next year? What are we doing next year? We need to go to future planning. Set the stake out where we want to go, and remove all obstacles and barriers and get there. And that's going to be our mantra as we move forward, to get the teachers to be as creative as possible, make connections with kids, show them that it's applicable to real life, and inspire that passion for them to be creative. And we talk about creating things. This isn't regurgitating dates. This is creating something, and this is where our kids need to go. So all good stuff.
I echo everyone else's comments. It's not easy to sit up here in front of this board. And when they found out we were televised, the looks on their faces were. But when we sit here and talk about our budget and how much money we spend, this is our product, and it's worth every dime. So that's all I have. We do have a need for an executive session this evening to discuss the reputation, character, or physical condition, or mental health, rather than the professional competence or individual of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against the public official, employee, staff member, or individual. We will return from executive session only to adjourn the regular session meeting. This action requires a roll call vote. There is a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Oh, in favor.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
That carries 7-0-0. Thank you and have a good night.